Hello, everybody. Welcome to Sports Junkies. I'm Brian Mansell, joined by my co-host today, Connor Keating. How are you doing today, Connor?
Doing pretty good. How about yourself?
I'm doing all right, just to say the least, I'd say. Tampa Bay's on a nice run lately. So, city itself, not just the Rays or the Buccaneers. But today we're going to bring you a recap of the World Series. The Dodgers, as you know, beat the Tampa Bay Rays in 6 games after a very questionable call last night by manager Kevin Cash to pull Blake Snell in the 6th inning while he was allowing a 2-hit game, which confused a lot of fans and infuriated a lot of starting pitchers. So let's just start with that. Connor, what are your thoughts on that?
Kevin Cash made the worst mistake a manager has made in a long time in a World Series game. Blake Snell had 9 strikeouts and only 70 or 75 pitches and 2 hits and a shutout. Or I'm pretty sure it was a shutout. I don't know if when Arizarena hit his home run, but I know he was dealing, and the next 3, I saw that the next 3 batters he was going to face were like the top of the lineup, and they were 0 for 6 with 6 strikeouts. So I think the Rays could have won that game, or at least made it more of a game if he kept Snell in. I highly doubt he definitely shouldn't have pulled him.
I strongly believe the reason why they pulled him was just because he had 1 hit going into that 6th inning. He got into the 6th inning, gave up 1 hit. It was only 1, a single. And at that point, Cash was like, I need you out. Which raises the question, is analytics creating a problem for the MLB? Because it feels like they're relying too much on analytics to make these decisions now. And it's impossible to do that when you're in the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
You can't. It makes no sense. You don't have the numbers to prove it because postseason is a different story than if it were the regular season. Arozarena proved that. He wasn't batting well during the regular season. He had 3 home runs. He comes into the postseason, he's hitting bombs off everybody.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what? I think what it came down to was they let the 1 hit go. They relied too much on analytics at that point, and they put in the wrong pitcher. I think Snell was still good to go for another 2 innings at least.
Mm-hmm.
If he wanted to, he could have finished that game so long as he didn't show signs of being tired. Because that's what it comes down to. If your pitcher looks tired, that's when you have to pull him.
Yeah.
It's never the point of he gave up 2 hits. Okay, just give up a second hit of the game. I might as well pull him. Minus the fact the next 4 batters, not just the 3, the next 4 batters were 0 for 8 against him. The 3 of them, which were Betts, Bellinger, and Seager, go figure, 0 for 6, and all of them had struck out.
Mm-hmm.
They pull him right away. They got the 2 runs off Nick Anderson, and that was ultimately the dagger. I think if he didn't pull him, game would have been over, Rays would have won, and we would have had a Game 7.
Mm-hmm.
Given you don't know what's going to happen in the 8th and 9th inning, but I still believe they should have kept him in and never pulled him. And that is the truth, and I think we both agree on that.
Easily.
I will say for LA, this is actually kind of sweet for them because the 2 most well-known franchises in California have both won a championship this year. The LA Lakers and the LA Dodgers.
I saw something crazy that the Lakers title was their 17th, and this was the Dodgers' 7th. And if you add those 2, you get 24. So, like, for Kobe, it's kind of weird.
I saw a whole model talking about the years in between, players who hit the home runs, all these different things leading up to 8 and 24. And I was like, I don't know. It feels like we're reading too much into it. But you know what? At the end of the day, the point is, Dodgers won a World Series. I think they deserved it. I wholeheartedly believe they deserved it. There was no argument there.
Mm-hmm.
That's first. Now, second, I do think that a lot of pitching, I think, came down to pitching in the end.
Mm-hmm.
You can blame as much as you want on the Rays offense for them losing, for not producing after Arozarena hit that home run in the second inning. You can blame it on them. But you also need to pay attention because when you're in a tight game, 1-0, you don't pull your pitcher. And I think that's what happened with the Dodgers. They trusted their bullpen, and they pulled Gonsolin right away, right after that home run, because they knew what's going to come. See, that's a different story. If Snell would have given up a home run in the 1st inning, they would have pulled him too.
Mm-hmm.
But Roberts made a right decision at that moment to trust his bullpen, rest his guys, so in the event it did go to a Game 7, he'd still have everybody available. And he was playing very smart and strategic with his bullpen, and I think in the end that's why they won.
Mm-hmm.
They rebounded very well from that Game 4 fall. That Game 4 incident, they did a very good job coming back from that, and I think that really is why the Dodgers won the series.
Yeah.
Call it all the blunders you want, but the bullpen came through. So that's our take on the Dodgers and the Rays. So now let's shift over to the NFL, where we will finish this episode, the NFL strictly. So first off, the New York Jets. Huge disgrace to New York sports of all things. And that's saying a lot coming from the fact that we still have the Knicks. And honestly, I don't know what to say. The Jets and the Giants are both not doing well. The only difference is the Giants actually have a legit shot for the playoffs still.
Yeah.
How bad their division is. The Jets had a chance to beat the Bills week 7. Had a chance. They had a nice lead, 10-0, their largest lead of the season. They blew the lead. And they lost and went 0-6. Now the question is, are they going to get the number 1 pick? And second, who would they take with that number 1 pick?
So they're definitely going to, if they keep this trend up, which is probably more than likely going to happen. I mean, something major would have to happen where the Jets start winning games and another team in the NFC East more than likely starts losing more. They're probably going to get the number 1 pick. And a lot of people think they're going to get Trevor Lawrence, but I honestly think that if the Jets get the number 1 pick, Trevor Lawrence is either going to pull an Eli Manning or go back to college. Is what I think is going to happen.
I think it's very safe to say that Trevor Lawrence is the pick. And I feel bad because it shouldn't be. It should be someone where they really need the help. The problem is they need help everywhere.
Yeah,
Their run game, they just got rid of Le'Veon Bell because the experiment failed.
Yeah,
Their receiver core has been injured all year. Their defense is experiencing issues right now because they got rid of Jamal Adams, and it revealed how bad the defense is. Despite the defensive line. The defensive line's actually been pretty decent, before they traded Steve McClendon to the Buccaneers. The offensive line's been a huge question mark. But for some reason, the blame is getting passed around every week. It's a different person every week. First, we were all in on Adam Gase. Then it went to Joe Douglas not knowing how to draft or do what he can as a general manager. Then it went to Sam Darnold not being a winning quarterback. When in reality, I think they're going to pick Trevor Lawrence, and they're going to trade Sam Darnold when he's at the peak. When he has a really good week, they're going to take that week to their advantage and trade Sam Darnold away towards the end of the season. It's either going to be towards the end of the season or in the offseason, they're going to trade him, and it's going to be a shock. Well, to some, it's going to be a shock, but to me, it's obvious. The Jets are going to jet, and Sam Darnold deserves a fresh start. For me, that's Pittsburgh. As well as Big Ben is playing, he needs a successor soon. And I think Sam Darnold sitting behind Big Ben for the next couple of years could help him a lot. Just like what Josh Rosen's doing behind Tom Brady in Tampa Bay.
Yeah, I can see that. I mean, yeah, and then the Jets, if they trade him mid-season, it'd be like, or towards the end of the season, Joe Flacco, I'm assuming, would take over. But I would like to see Sam Darnold get out of New York because he's a good quarterback. Like a lot of people never gave him credit, but he was good at USC and he was good. He's had some good games where he's lost the games, but he can win. I mean, he just needs the talent around him, and he has no talent.
And there are arguments that can be made to say also, which I'm not going to go into that, but the argument could be made that he's the best quarterback in New York outside of Josh Allen.
Yeah, I mean,
the argument could be made. The talent is there. The talent is there.
It's definitely there.
And I'm only going to say 2 words so people know what I'm talking about. Danny stumbles. All right, let's move on.
There it is.
So let's move on to the next part of the NFL segment. One of the biggest question marks coming this season was New England. They lost Tom Brady. They're having issues with everybody opting out, and now they got Cam Newton. They got Cam Newton. Everybody was happy. They were hype. And I'm sure you as a New England Patriots fan were really excited to have Cam Newton, thinking maybe we might hop the Bills, win the division again, and make the playoffs. Well, for the first couple weeks, it looked like that's the case. And then stuff started going downhill. And it really came to fruition when we saw them play the Broncos 2 weeks ago. And when they played that Broncos team, there was a problem with Cam Newton. For some reason, after he got over COVID, all of a sudden he's off. And then last week, do we even want to talk about what happened against San Francisco? Do we even want to talk about it?
Not really.
Because that was the largest margin of defeat in Bill Belichick's career at home with New England. And that says a lot for what the status of the New England Patriots is right now. To the point where I'm hearing rumors that Stephon Gilmore is going to get traded.
He was actually they talked about trading him in March, April, and May before the season even started. He's been on the trading block like rumors for a while.
And now it's finally coming forward because it looks like the Patriots are posers right now. And I hate to say it because I know you're a Patriots fan, you love them, but they're posers at this point.
They're not playing to where they know how to play. I mean, they have no weapons on offense. I mean, they have all these like rookie, like second, third year people. Like the best player they have right now is Edelman on offense and James White and Rex Burkhead. Those are like the three top offensive weapons they have. I mean, Cam too when he's good, but I mean, Jameer Byrd, Jacoby Myers, Gunnar Olszewski. I mean, any of these people, no one's ever really heard of them. So it's kind of like they need to do if. And the funny thing is, Bill Belichick obviously doesn't like losing. I don't think anyone does, especially knowing no one on the Patriots who's been on the team for many years. Like they know it's not in their DNA because they've won so many years. They need to, if he wants to get back to where he needs to be, I think Belichick needs to make some trades and get rid of some people and get some weapons.
I think that's the smart thing to do.
You
need to make trades. You got to start building your team up again because we're starting to find out Cam Newton may not be the answer actually. And that can end up being the fall of New England right there alone. And that's a huge issue right there by itself. So Bill's going to have to make some trades to fix this all up. And once that happens, I think the show benefits. I think everything they're doing in New England benefits at that point. Once he makes those trades, gets those big stars out, everything's going to benefit from that.
There's been rumors talking about A.J. Green coming to New England or John Ross, or just not coming, but like rumors talking about it. And I've even seen some saying Julio Jones will be there, but that probably won't happen because he's the Falcons' star player. But that's just like who I've seen being talked about coming to New England, not Boston. And
I think it's a good idea to go with him. I think it's a good idea to try to chase him. But right now, what the Patriots need is they need to clear cap.
Mm-hmm.
They need to clear out cap space. And one of the ideas I've explored, which I think you're going to hate as a Patriots fan, is you might want to consider trading Edelman. Because as well as he's playing, you want to benefit from that now.
Mm-hmm.
And use that now before people start making the argument he's getting older. He's not going to play the same way. He's a system QB. He's a system wide receiver. He only worked well under Tom Brady. He's already proved he can work with any quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
Just like Amendola did. He may not be as big of a name as he is now, but Amendola was great with Brady, and he still plays at a very high level with the Lions and when he played with Miami.
Mm-hmm.
I said Edelman's the same exact way. So I think the best thing right now is Bill's got to look into his stars and see if he has to clean house.
Mm-hmm.
And for the first time, he's going to have to do that as a coach without Tom Brady to help him out and tell him what to do. So yeah, New England's got a lot of work to do. I don't think they're going to be contenders this year, like a lot of people were predicting. I said 7-9. I think it's going to come short for them, unfortunately. Now, this goes into the next topic and our final topic for the NFL category and for the show, which is Super Bowls. And this is only because we're at the midseason now. We're at week 8. And I need to roll the clip real quick to show how important midseason reviews are when I picked the 49ers and Chiefs last year. Roll the tape.
So the Niners go to the NFC.
Okay.
Yes. These are very early, but I'm saying
I'm
saying Niners are taking the NFC here, and then the AFC, y'all keep saying the Patriots. Look at their schedule. There is one team you can add in here into the conversation we haven't talked about enough. He may be injured right now, but that doesn't mean Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs aren't going to give a fight.
Oh, definitely.
You guys are forgetting them. The Ravens have a great defense. Lamar Jackson's a great quarterback, but that doesn't mean that the Ravens have enough to get there. I don't think they have enough there to take over the Patriots.
You don't think they have enough firepower?
I don't think they have enough firepower to take out the Patriots. And then, with that being said, Chiefs, 49ers are my Super Bowl pick, and I'm going with the Niners to win it.
Yeah, so we got to sit here and ask ourselves, who do we think has the best chance at the Super Bowl right now? We've seen a lot of teams show a lot of promise. We've seen the Steelers come out. We've seen the Buccaneers. We've seen the Chiefs, the Ravens, the Bills, although they've been a little weak recently. The Packers. We've seen a lot of teams really show up and prove that they are Super Bowl worthy teams. The question now is, who's eventually going to make it to the big show?
I'm going to say it's going to be Steelers out of the AFC, just like because they have the way they're playing. Hopefully they can keep it up for their sake and for Big Ben, because you don't know how much longer he has in the league. I think they're going to come out of the AFC, and I think in the NFC it's a lot tighter because there's the Seahawks. Yeah, they lost against the Cardinals in overtime, but that's okay. They have Cardinals. I mean, possibly Cardinals could be a contender. You never know. They look good. Packers, Bucks, obviously. So, I mean, any of those teams can make the Super Bowl. I can't really predict anyone out of the NFC right now. But if I had to, I would probably go with the Seahawks, probably.
Okay. I think that's a fair pick. I think the way Russell Wilson's playing is playing at MVP level. If you ignore what happened Sunday night, he's playing at an MVP level. And I think when you look at the Steelers, all around their defense, top 3 in the league, up there, them and Tampa Bay are like this right now with defenses. And then their offenses are producing at a very high level as well for Pittsburgh and for Seattle. They're both doing very well. The problem is Seattle's defenses are huge weakness, and I think that's why I can't make them exactly Super Bowl contenders. Their defense is failing them. Their best defender on the team this year is DK Metcalf. Roll the Buda Baker film.
Oh, well, I've seen it.
With 6 different receivers, and this time he lost one and is picked off at the goal line. That's Buda Baker. Buda Baker out in front. Can Metcalf track him down? Can he chase him down? And he does to save a touchdown. But what a play by Baker, intended for Carson. Wilson lofted it. We talked about we hadn't mentioned.
Yeah, so I mean, you look at the Seahawks, and you see a team that's got weak defense but very strong offense led by Wilson. I look at the Packers, and I had so much faith in the Packers being a very tough team to beat this year. And then they go into Tampa Bay, and they lose 38-10. Now, at that point, I was like, okay, maybe it's a fluke for Tampa Bay. Maybe it's a fluke for Tom Brady to have that good of a game. I'm like, or maybe they're finding their groove. Now they're playing Las Vegas the following week. They come into Las Vegas. I'm nervous as a Bucs fan for this. And what do I see? They're getting beat down 45-20. And Tom Brady looks like an MVP candidate once again like he did back in 2017. And that was the most surprising thing in the world. The 43-year-old quarterback throwing for almost 400 yards, throwing for 3 touchdowns, and looking like he's in his 30s again. It was absolutely insane. And now you have Antonio Brown coming in 2 weeks, which helps because Chris Godwin fractured his thumb in the last game, and he's going to be out again for at least a week, maybe 2. So that's going to help, too, when they go to play the Saints in 2 weeks with Antonio Brown for the first time. This is huge for this team. You've got a top 5 defense, and you've got, even though the numbers don't prove it, they've got the most explosive and deceiving offense you will see in the NFL. And I think for that reason, I have to say, I'm going to agree with your Steelers pick for the AFC. For the NFC, I don't know how you don't pick it. It's got to be Tampa Bay. I'm going to say Steelers, Tampa Bay, Super Bowl. There's no excuse. If Tampa Bay cannot make a Super Bowl, they're cursed. That's my ultimate decision. If that's the case, then John Gruden, with winning that Super Bowl in 2003, cursed the team. If we cannot win with what we're doing right now, because now Gronk is emerging, Gronk is back out of the abyss. So if nobody can stop us, it's going to be ourselves. We are the only team that can stop ourselves. No, I don't think any defense could stop our offense, and I don't think any offense can really beat our defense. Like senseless, I would say. And our weakest point was when we played the Saints week 1, and then when we play them again, we're going to prove that the Saints are nothing. And that the Saints are also borderline playoff team. So, yeah, Steelers, Buccaneers, you've got Steelers, Packers.
Seahawks.
Oh, man. Dang. Okay, yeah, Steelers, Seahawks, Steelers, Buccaneers. We both agree it's Pittsburgh.
Yeah, they look good.
I think before we go, the question is, why didn't we include the Chiefs or the Ravens? I'll take care of the Ravens. You go for the Chiefs.
Chiefs just haven't looked like the same team. They almost lost to the Chargers. I mean, they've won. I don't really know their record. Was it? Are they 5-1, 6-1? I think they're 6-1.
They're about 5-1. I think 6-1.
I mean, they don't look the same as they did last year, like at all. I don't think so. Like they're not performing at the level they were last year.
That's fair.
I mean, yeah, they're coming from behind a lot of games like they did last year, but they're still not like Like I'm taking that Chargers game into effect. Like they looked awful in that game. They got lucky just because Chargers defense died.
I think following that Chargers game, I think that's when things went downhill because I saw Mahomes' production started to fall.
Mm-hmm.
And if anybody watched that Kansas City-Denver game last week, it showed itself. He did not play well at all.
He had like 200 yards, and that was it.
He had 200 yards. He was barely above 50% for completions. And then they pulled him to rest him and keep him healthy. Meanwhile, they were still pummeling their Denver because of the defense, and Drew Lock cannot contain that ball and prevent turnovers.
Mm-hmm.
But for the Ravens, when I think the Ravens aren't going to be there. Now, they've got a lot of potential. They've got a lot of chances. But come on. Des Bryant, great receiver. He may not be the same guy.
He hasn't been in the league in so many years. I think he's going to be rusty.
And my argument here is, and this is a very unpopular argument that's about to be made, Lamar Jackson is another Michael Vick.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason why is because for the first few years, they're not going to know how to contain you. They're going to have a hard time defending you. They already had 2 years of that. I'd say they got 2 years left of him. The reason why is because Lamar Jackson runs and plays like Vick. He throws well. He's not elite arm talent, but he throws well. He plays well. He's as fast as a wide receiver, more as athletic as a wide receiver. Makes plays happen instantly. But the problem is after a while, they start to learn how to contain you in the pocket, and they start to focus on getting you to throw the ball more. And when that happens, that's when you're exposed. And that's what happened with a lot of great QBs. Michael Vick, before all that scandalous stuff, he was starting to get figured out by the NFC South.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have when he went to the Eagles. Few good games right there. And then all of a sudden, they started to figure him out in the NFC East. Biggest story I could reference this to is his backup. Who's his backup? Robert Griffin III. Came out, model, supposed to be prototype, dual-threat quarterback for the 2010s, the next big thing. How many years was he good in Washington? What was it, 2-3 years?
Barely any, I feel like.
I would say 3 years max.
Mm-hmm.
And that was before his injuries and stuff set in. He looked amazing. But then injuries hurt him, and then they started to figure him out and how to hold him back and force turnovers. And that's what's going to happen with Lamar Jackson. I'm already starting to see it. They're containing him, and they're causing problems. So ultimately, the Ravens, your quarterback's not going to help you, no matter how well your defense plays.
Mm-mm.
And yeah, that's it. So again, our picks: Steelers, Seahawks, Steelers, Buccaneers. Thank you guys for joining us today on Sports Junkies. I'm your host, Brian Mansell, joined by Connor Keating today. We'll see you guys next week. But until then, make sure to like and subscribe and turn on notifications to keep up with all of Terry TV's new videos. We'll see you next week.